types. What is data types? So what are the various types of data that are available so that you can use in your program? So normally you have numerical data, right? In numerical data also you'll be having a complete integer as well as a floating point number, which is a fraction. So what are the data type names is like int. Int stands for it's an integer kind of data. Integer. What is integer? Like a full number, like 0 is an integer, like 2, 4, 6, 33, 56 means a full number is an integer. So, and another data type is float. What is float? Float is a floating point number. Float is not an integer, it's a fraction like 2.3, like 5.5, 0.2. So this kind of thing is a floating point number. But if we see, the memory will be counted in bytes, right? The integer in Java occupies 4 bytes of memory. The floating point number also occupies 4 bytes of memory. But in certain calculations, especially in scientific and research calculations, so the precision, the number of digits after precision, after decimal point is also most important. Because we need the calculation very accurately. So float can handle up to 4 bytes of data. If you want more accuracy, there is another kind of a fractional number or a floating point number called double. Double. So double is also a floating point number, but which can accommodate 8 bytes of memory. So 8 bytes means, so the accuracy or the precision will be more compared to float, but both are the same types. So float and double or floating point numbers, so-called fractions. So in float, you'll be having less number of precisions after, like, so that the decimal or the point. So in your double, you'll be having more number of digits after precision. So this is the difference, but otherwise both are same. Float and double are the same. And there is another thing. Not only numbers, we'll be having symbols, we'll be having alphabet, right? So there is a special type. So those are called characters. So character is accommodating 2 bytes of memory in Java. So what makes a character? A to Z, 0 to 9. 0 to 9 is a symbol. A to Z is a symbol. And uppercase A to Z is a symbol. And all special cases, like all special symbols are also characters. So this is what a character is. So what are the different data types we are encountering is an integer, a floating point number, a double, which is a long float, a character, and you have something called void. Void, yesterday we have seen, void is the return type. You are writing in front of main method. Void doesn't belong to numeric. Void doesn't belong to character. Void doesn't belong to a floating point number. So what is void? Void is nothing. So remember that. Void is nothing. It got certain significance at certain levels. So it will be understood when we are using that particular significance. As of now, remember, void is nothing. So there is another important data type in Java called Boolean. So what is this Boolean? So this Boolean is having only 2 constant values. There are no, if I say integer, you got several range of values. If I say floating point number, got several range of values. If I say double also, got several range of values. Characters, there are many characters on the keyboard. But when I'm talking about Boolean, you have only 2 constants. One is true and another one is false. You have a constant called true and you have a constant called false. So is it clear? What is the data type? Yeah, Boolean. So, but these are apart from these, there are many types. So we'll be concentrating on mostly these types of data. These types of data: integer, character, float, double, void, and Boolean kind of data. So these are the things what we can construct members. So how to write a member? So we'll see a general syntax and a very simple syntax, not too much complex. So we'll see how to write a member. Member is a data, right? But data should have a type. Data should have a name. So if I say what could be the syntax, the type of the data and name of the data, and if you want, you can write the value. If you are assigning at runtime, you need to write so type followed by name semicolon. So apart from some control structures, every statement in Java should terminate with a terminator called semicolon. So semicolon is a delimiter in Java used between statement to statement. So semicolon should be used. So how to write data? So suppose this is the syntax. If I want to create a data which can accommodate integer, so int, we can have the name A. Int A semicolon means A can accommodate an integer value. Suppose if I want to create a character, how to create? Char some C. So C is the variable name and char is the type. Together char C is a member. So this is how you need to create a member in a class. So the most important thing is that we should know how to create a method. What is a method? What is a method? Method is nothing but, so since member is data, method is code. Or if you want to understand much better, like it's an operation or a behavior which can be performed on a class member. How do members will be so interacting? How do members will be manipulating? So via methods. So methods are also responsible in order to manipulate or in order to operate on the members. So method is nothing but code. Method is a function. Method is a procedure. Method is something. It's a piece of code which can be employed on data so that the considered like the requested or required operation can be fulfilled. So how to write a method? So we'll look at a very simple kind of information first and then we'll get into the complex kind of information. So the general syntax of writing a method in a class is access specifier. I said access specifier is like public, private, protected something. Access specifier and return type of the method. Return type here is the data type and method name and arguments list means the input given to the method. So open brace, whatever the code you want to write inside and then closed brace. This is how you need to write a method. So in order to understand better, I'll give you an example syntax. So suppose if I want to write a method called add, and which is returning an integer, means I am writing a method which can perform integer addition. So what is my access specifier? Most likely I'll use public. What is the return type? If I want to get integer from this particular method, I need to write here int. Int is return type. And what is the method name? Method name is add. What is that I want? I want parameters like input, int x, comma, int y. So inside you need to write the code return x plus y. Return x plus y means what you are expecting from this method is that you are expecting the sum of x and y. So from this method, if you observe the new statement, what we have seen is return, R-E-T-U-R-N, return. So return is a keyword used to return a value from a method. Return is a keyword used to return a value from a method. Means you should remember one point that, so when you are writing a method, so definitely the method should contain a keyword called return followed by a value. But remember two more points about return is that return will be used only if your return type is other than void. Suppose if you write here void, so you are not supposed to return anything. Why you are not supposed to return anything? Because void is nothing. So what you can return? You can return nothing. So public void add means you are returning nothing. So return can be used if you are accommodating the return type other than void. And one more point you need to remember with return is that a return statement can return only one value at one time. So it means blindly remember that a function can return only single value. function cannot return more than one value. So return statement you have to remember in three cases. Return statement will be used in a method in order to return the return value. Second thing is that if method return type is void, you should not use return. And if the method can return only one value, so more than one value cannot be written using return statement. So this is a simple example of method, and we have seen what could be the structure of a member. So these together will be helpful in order to create a simple Java program. So we'll look into an example, then we can try to figure out to understand how to create a class, how to create a method, and how to execute them and all. Okay. So I'll come back to Eclipse IDE. So in package, so I'm creating one more class. So this is you to understand member and method, right? So I will write member and method demo, my class name, and I want my public static void main, right? So click on public static void main and then click on finish. So the skeleton of the program has been created. So what is my intention is to demonstrate so members and methods. So in this class called mmDemo, I want to create a member of type integer. So how do I create member of type integer? I want to create three members. Int followed by, so you can speak Vicho, and I want to create three members. So how do I create?
And you need to declare the variable 3.
Yeah. Int. I can use a name A, right? B.
Yeah.
Let's say C, right?
Yeah.
So what are these? These are my class members. These are my class members. Now my part is to write a method. I want to create a method. I want to create a method in order to add method for adding A and B. Let's say A and B. So using return statement means in this method I want to use return statement. So how to create? As per the syntax, access specifier, I'll be taking public. What is the return type? Return type should be there because I said using return statement. So A, B are integers. So obviously your return type is also integer. What could be the method name? At, and the method should take certain arguments. Let's say int. Let's say the method should add what? It should add A and B, right? It should add A and B. So what I can say? Return, but what they will add without initializing the data, so it cannot be added. Now what I need to do is that I need to set the value of A and set the value of B. For that I am writing one more method, public set public. This is just setting, right? You are not getting anything. So void public void set data. You are writing a method set data. So see, I have given some rules. In order to create a class name. Similarly, there is one rule to be followed. So all the rules are common for method and class name. The only rule is that method names start with small letter, whereas class names start with capital letter. But if a method is consisting more than one word, each and every starting letter of the word should be capitalized other than the first word. Means if you see set data, so S should be small letter, means the method name should start with small letter. But since set data is having two words, the second word, third word, fourth word, first letter should be capital. Set data, D is the capital. So void set data, I am taking some input int x comma int y. what I want to do is that in order to perform some addition, I need to set the value of A as well as B. A equals to X. I will say B equals to Y. B equals to Y. This is how A, B value are set. If you want to confirm the A, B value, you can write a printout statement. System.out.println system.out.println. So what you need to write? If you want to know the value of A is, what is the value of A? It is stored in A only, right? A. At the same time, if you want to know the value of B, again you can write your system.out.println statement. So the value of B is, I'm just giving some space and then write B. So this is for our confirmation. Now coming to method add, why you are getting here error is because you have not written any return statement. Now in this case, since A value, B value is already available, I can write simply C equals to A plus B, and what I need to return? Return C. Return C. So in your class you wrote two methods, right? One method is set data. Second method is add. Suppose I want to write one more method, public int subtract. Suppose I want to make difference. So return A minus B, or you can write C equals to A minus B, return C. Now, so far what you have done is that you have created a class called mmdemo. In that you have created three members of type integers named A, B, C, and you have written three methods. One is a set data method, so which is assigning value for A and value for B, and another method is add method, which is computing the sum of A and B. Another method is a difference method, which is computing the sum of difference between A and B. And what you need to do is that you need to execute these methods. So these methods will be executed only when you call. Only when you call, because the only method that can be executed on its own is main method. So rest of all methods you need to call them. You need to invoke them. So how to call them? How to invoke them? By the name. How you call a person? By their name. How you call somebody? By their name. So you need to call the method by the name. Suppose if there is a name conflict, you use initial, right? Use something very specific if there is a name conflict and all. So what we are doing is that, so we have to call, where you need to call in the main method, you need to call all those functions. So now I want to call those functions. What function I need to call first? I want to call the function or method called set data. Set data. So set data. So this set data function is, set data method is not returning anything. I am passing x value as 10 and y value as 20. X value as 10, y value as 20. So why you are getting here the error? Why you are getting as error? You are getting some error, right? Change the set data to static. Why? Because you are calling a non-static method in a static context. What kind of method is main? It's a static method. In this case, what I need to do is that then you will come to know an important concept called object. What is object? What is an object? So by definition, object is instance of a class. Instance of a class. Object is instance of a class. Means, so class is like a blueprint. Object is one copy of that. So what you can do is that you can create n number of objects, but all the objects share the same property, but the property value is different. let's say if I say student is a class which is having the matric ID or roll number and some branch code or some address, some phone number, some grade and all, etc., etc. But what you say student is a class, if I create 60 instances, means 60 objects. So every object got the same properties, but the property value is different. So what is an object? Object is an instance of a class where each and every object got same properties of a class, but the object value will be differing. So what you are doing here, in order to access the class members, you need to create an instance first. So you need to create an instance first. How to create an instance? So I'll be giving the syntax. So the syntax is like you need to use class name followed by object name equals to operator new. You need to use an operator called new and then class name and then class name. So this is how an object can be created. Class name, object name equals to new class name. With an example again, we'll go back to the example and how to create here an object. What is the class name? demo. What is the object name? Anything, OB equals to new demo. So this is how you are going to create an object. Now with object, you can access those members and you can access those methods. So how you need to use the syntax called OB dot. So if you say OB dot, whatever the methods that are available with OB are being displayed, right? So you can straight away go to set data method and you can give values, let's say 10, 20, 10, 7, giving 10, 7, x is 10 and y equals 7. Now what I want to do is that just I called only set data method. Let me save and execute the program and look at the console. Look at the console. What is the value given to x? The value given to x is 10, right? The value given to y is 7. So what set method is doing? Set method is assigning x value to a and y value to b and making a value as 10, b value as 7. The same thing reflected, right? So I have executed only one method in my main class. So now what I want to do is that I'm calling the next method. I'm calling add method. How to call? ob dot add. So I'm calling ob dot add. At the same time, I'm calling ob dot difference. So I'm calling these two methods. Okay. Now I'll execute. So the value of A is 10, 100%. The value of B is 7. But where is the value of C? Where is the value of C? There is no value of C, right? What you can do, where you are getting the value, whenever you're calling the function or method, you'll be getting the value. Means I want to make this function call in output statement, system.out.println. So I want to add some text. The sum is so you are getting the sum from method called add, and at the same time I want to write like the difference is save your program and then try to execute once again. The value of B is 7. The value of B is 7. Now you are getting the output. The sum is 17 and the difference is 10. Means in the previous case what happened is that the methods are being executed and simply returning the value, and the value is not being captured anywhere. Are you capturing the value? No. You are simply calling the function. So whatever the function is returning to you, you are not capturing anywhere. So what I did is that I have captured directly in a output statement so that it can be displayed on the console. If you want, what you can do, you can create an integer type of variable and you can say some, let's say C equals to D equals to OB dot and E equals to OB dot difference, so that you can display D value and E value. Means a method is returning something. So when you're calling the method, you should capture the value. So where we are capturing, we have not captured in previous syntax. Now what I did is that I captured the return value in a output statement so that it can be directly displayed on the screen. If I want to capture into a variable, what I need to do is that I need to write like D equals to OB dot add, E equals to OB dot difference. So this is how you need to create a program. So with a class, with members and with methods. Have you done this? So, any doubts in this program? Any doubts in the program? But the syntax you should be aware of, because on practice you'll be remembering the syntax. Initially you may feel little difficulty, but once you do a couple of programs, you'll be get habituated of writing the syntax. So any doubt? Anything, any instruction or any statement to be explained?
Kumar, the line number 32.
Line number 32, yes.
Yeah. There we are calling the function, or what is actually is happening?
This statement is instantiating a class, means creating an object. So how to create an object? I have given a syntax, class name followed by object name equals to new operator followed by the constructor. So constructor means a method, but the method name is the class name. Of course, next topic is constructors. If you see the syntax, what I have given, class name space object name equals to new operator followed by class name and parenthesis. The same thing I did here. In order to create the object, so what I did is that I used the class name demo and object name OB is my wish. So you can create any name which is a valid name and equals to new operator followed by class name and then parenthesis. This is the syntax in order to create an object of a class. So what we did is, like, we have created one object. What is the main significance of object is to access the members and methods of a class. Objects are helping you in accessing members and methods of a class. Because class is a secure entity.
When you say OB to the system, to the program, the system is understanding, go to OB.
Yeah, OB is a representative of class demo.
Sorry.
Yeah,
go
OB.
to the data class or whatever is.
Yeah.
Sorry, data function.
The whole class. Yeah. See, whenever you create an object for a class, the object will create memory for all the members of that particular class. All the members. It's like It's an instance. What do you say? If I say human is a class, it's a lot of properties. You are instance of a human. I am instance of a human being. We do have same properties, but the property values are different. So your name is different, my name is different. Your color is different, my color. Your country is different, my country is. But every human got the same properties, but the property value is different. At the same time, every class got same object, same property objects, but the object property. Suppose in this case, I have created only one object. Suppose if you want to create one more object like demo, like ob1 equals to new demo. Now how many instances you have created? OB is one instance, OB1 is another instance. Means once you create OB, A, B, C, separate memory for OB means OB.A, OB.B, OB.C. Similarly, you will be having separate OB1.A, separate OB1.B, separate OB1.C. Suppose if I am creating an object, so let's say customer ID, account number, customer address, some kind of thing information. It is a schema or a skeleton. That is what class. If I create an object customer 1, so customer 1 is having the property value. If I create another instance customer 2, the customer 2 is also having the same properties but the values are different. The customer ID of 1 is different, customer ID of 2 is different. Now if I use a function or if I call the method like ob1.setData, ob1.setData, let's say with different values. Let's say with different values means now if I execute, closely observe the output. So the value of B is 7 because OB, with OB you are calling the first method. The value of B is 7. The value of A is 20. Of course, still the output is there. So first you are getting the value of A is 10. The value of B is 7 because you called with OB. OB value for X is 10, Y is 10. Once you see, when I call the second method, OB1 A value is different, OB2 A value is different. See, OB1 value is different from OB2 value. At the same time, OB1 B value is different from OB2 B value, right? Means you have a separate instance of that particular class. Means you will be creating a separate memory for A, separate memory for B, separate memory for C, all together reference with a single object called OB1, OB. If you create one more thing, OB2, so OB2 is different from OB and OB1. You got right? Class is like a blueprint. So is like a mole. What you need to do is that you need to prepare your own instance. Because I can give you a structure, class is like a structure, abstract type, you need to put on your add-ons on it. So everyone is having their own feature, like the properties are the same, but the property value is different. So how to create an instance of a class? That is the syntax. So what you asked in line number 32 is the syntax for creating an object.
34 is calling that object.
So
Sorry, passing the data, right?
34 is calling the method called data. You are calling the method called data. Set data is a method, right?
Yeah.
Add is a method.
Yeah.
ob.add, ob.setData, ob.difference means if you want to call the method, you need to call like simply if I call like add, which add I need to call? Is it ob1's add or ob2's add? I need to write ob1, ob2, ob3, like that I need to. Is that clear? Of course, actually this should be discussed in a many number of classes because it's a Selenium discussion. We should look into these things. So is this clear?
Yes, yes.
Yes, right? So, but based on examples you do, you'll be get habituated.
Oh, 1 second, Kumar. I just need to write 2 lines. It actually didn't.
Then what I do is that I will copy the same statement just over here, and I will use OB1 and I will use OB1 means, so you can call add method and subtract method also because they are also part of class demo. So OB1 can access to method add, OB1 can access to method subtract. If you see, the sum of 20 and 21 is 41 and the difference of 20 and 21 is -1.
I understand. I just need to go through the once again that we.
Yeah, just you should go through the video or you should go through the program. So the program is self-explanatory. There is nothing much complex statement I have written, like very simple statement. And what we come to know in this session so far is like, what is a member and how to create a member, what are the various data types of Java, and what is a method, how to write a method, and what is an object. So we have seen like, but when you look into members, there are two different kinds of members. When somebody asks you in interview, because Selenium is based on Java, so there are two types of members called static members and non-static members. Static members and non-static members. So how the static members can be created? How a non-static member be created is like, if I write simply int A is a non-static member. Int A is a non-static member. So how can I make int A as a static member? Is like, I just use the keyword static int A. So static int A is a non-static member. Let's suppose, for understanding, I use a simple class called 1. There is a class name 1. In that I am creating a variable called A and I am creating another variable called B, static int B. There are number of methods and all operations, I don't bother. Only remember these 2 points. So in a class called 1, I have one static member called A. Whatever the data type doesn't matter, which is a non-static member A and a static member B. So in order to access these, what I need to do, I need to create an object, right? If I want to access these members outside the class, what I need to do, I need to create an object. How do I create object? 1 OB equals to new 1, right? As per the syntax. Is it clear? Jaideep, are you able to follow this one? Jaideep?
Can you please?
Through message. Yeah, I think he wrote a message. Okay, good. So 1 OB equals to new 1. This syntax is clear, right? But what we assume normally what happens is that when you create an instance called OB for class 1, the OB should accommodate the variable A and B in the same memory, right? If I create one more instance OB1, the OB1 should also contain A and B. If I create one more instance OB3 for the same class, I can have A and B separately. What we assume, OB dot A, OB dot B are separated from OB1 dot A, OB1 dot B. At the same time, OB2 dot A is separated from OB2 dot B. Means if you create three instances of A should be created, three instances of B should be created. So that is ideally we think, right? That is what object means. Object is instance of a class. Since you have created three objects, OB, OB1 and OB2 for class 1. So what happens? So a copy of A will be repeated for three times because OB1 copy, OB2's copy and OB3 copy. At the same time, B also, OB1B, OBB and OB2 dot B. So, but what happens is that when you write the keyboard static in front of any member, object cannot create memory. Means the memory cannot be repeated with each and every instance. Means object cannot access what kind of member? Object cannot access static member. Means there is OB dot A, but there is no OB dot B. OB dot B is wrong. OB1 dot B is wrong. OB2 dot B is wrong. Why? Because B is a static member. What is a static member? Static member is that for which the memory will be created only once for the whole class. Means the B is global variable for the entire class. Means any method can access B. Any method can access B. If you want to access B outside the class, with object help only you can access, right? But all the static members and all the static methods are accessed not with object. They could be accessed with name. If I want to access B, how do I need to access? 1 dot B. 1 dot B. B means for entire class 1 there is only one B. That is what static. So these static members are called.
The value of the B we cannot change. That's what you're saying. It's static.
No. That is constant. That is constant. You can change. You can manipulate the B value. But B is having only one memory. It is not copy. It is not having any instances. Let's say A is like, suppose you create 10 variables. So there are 10 instances, like 10 A's are there. OB1 dot A, OB2 dot A, OB3 dot A. Means each object got its own value. But for all the objects, B value is the common.
Okay, when
One can change the value. It's a common value.
If you change B value, once you change the B value, then that value is going to be assigned.
That value will be reflected for the remaining 9 objects also.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So what you're talking is a constant. That is a constant. Here the memory is constant, not the value. Memory is constant in the sense, so B cannot be instantiated. B is a single variable. So B is there with the class. So all the static members are called class members. All the static members are called class members. Why all the static members are class members? Because they are accessed with the class name. They are accessed with the class name. So 1 is the class name, B is the static member. How do I access B? 1 dot B. So 1 is not object, 1 is class. So anyway, you know, in previous example we have seen how to access a non-static member. So non-static members are called instance members. Instance members. Instance members means they are accessed through instances. What is instance? It's an object. So class members means which can be accessed through classes. So simply static members. Instance members means which can be accessed through instances, means objects. Simply non-static members. Non-static members. So these points you need to remember, because sometimes I use object dot, sometimes I use class name dot. Whenever I use class name dot, you should understand that member is a whenever you use a class name in order to access a member, you should understand that the member is a
Non-static.
static member. That member is a static member. That member is a class member. Whenever you use class name in order to access a method, you need to understand that method is a static method. That method is a static method. So static methods only can access static members. If you want to access static members in a non-static method, you need to use your class name. You need to use your class name. So this is how the Java was structured. So the members are classified into static members and then non-static members. The methods also static methods and non-static methods. Is this clear? Like with,
Uh, the program which you explained, it is very clear. I just got it. I just need to refresh it. But the second part, I will go through the video again. If I have any
okay.
doubt, I will come back to you.
Anyway, we do examples. It's okay. And what is our agenda for like next session is that, of course, anyway, we have a long break, right? So we are just getting into the details of the control structure. All control structures in a single class. Actually, all control structures in a regular class will take more than 15 sessions. But we are doing all control structures in a single class. So in order to understand the structure and the usage at a quicker rate, and then we'll get into the basic object-oriented principles, and we start learning Selenium and Java together. Selenium and Java together.
Okay. What is the next class? Just tell me once again. What is the next class? Your agenda? Just you can go through some
All
materials and.
conditions, loops, all control structures. Let's say if
Okay.
else, nested if, for
All right.
while, do while, all these demonstrations. So is our next session. Why?
Okay.
Because in order to kickstart the program, the basic thing you should know is how to create a class, how to write a method, and how to use system.out.println statement, and how to write an if condition. These are the four basic things we need in order to start a Selenium program. The add-ons will come on along with Selenium together with Java, Java together with Selenium. So when we create a simple Selenium program, the basic requirement is this, like, so these four classes and the upcoming next class. But still there is some more Java should be incorporated into Selenium. So that will be discussed in parallel so that you have a better understanding. Why I have used this topic of Java in order to implement what concept of Selenium.
Okay, Kumar.
Because not from the computer science or not from the programming or developing environment, if you feel any difficulty in Java, so I am so very pleasure to clear your doubt. So no matter whether the session will be extended also, so you can feel free, don't hesitate. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll
All
be
right.
sending some material on Java so that you can go through and understand. You can do more examples. I'll be giving whole core Java material to you. So that will be more than enough. You should be even you can become a Java developer also. But you just practice these 6 days in order to so gain some knowledge as a prerequisite before training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
anyway, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day.